Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, November 18th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and we are joined by our good friend of the show, Kyle Bond, once again breaking down the Saturday card. A big slate on tap. We've already got the game in Stockholm underway. Wild and Senators, second period about to begin, and still waiting for the first goal for that game between Minnesota and Ottawa. Kyle, you were with us on one of our betcasts for a bit. A couple weeks ago, I remember you jumped in and joined us for a bit. It's a fun group. We're going to be doing a bunch of them this season. I know you had to leave quickly that night, but how was your first betcast experience a couple weeks ago?
It was good. I actually really enjoyed the NHL putting together. It was the night I forget what they called it, but
Frozen Frenzy.
The Frozen Frenzy.
Frenzy, all 32 teams playing, kind of like a red zone type sort of vibe.
Yep.
So yeah, candidly, I wish they would do that every Saturday because I feel like it keeps you a little bit more engaged. But yeah, great time. Appreciate you having me out.
Yeah, and you see basically the inner workings of our group. I mean, we're just a bunch of crazy hockey fans and bettors, and we're throwing bets left and right, and it's everything. Everything's on the table. Live total bets, live money line bets, draw bets, next goal props, which Alex is a mastermind of those. Alex has just got that ability for timing it, the momentum of the game, how it can switch. One thing I've learned about Alex with the next goal props is a team gets a big time penalty kill, especially when things are kind of not going their way. The game's kind of going against them and they get a big kill and all of a sudden they get momentum from it. And that's usually a good time to jump in, bet that team that just killed a big time penalty to score next. It's definitely a momentum thing. And I know that's something Alex has done over the years. And I kind of learned from that. So yeah, Alex has been great with the next goal props. Good timing, good sense of that. My voice is a little gravelly here on this Saturday, as you can tell. I was at the Grey Cup Festival events taking place in downtown Hamilton last night. I figured, you know what? It's Grey Cup Festival week here. The game is on Sunday. Got to get out one night and attend some of this stuff. And it was a lot of fun. There were a lot of current and former CFL players at some of these events. So it was a lot of fun being able to chat, shoot the shit about football and other things. Drink a lot, obviously, goes without saying. Eat a lot, goes without saying. And sing a lot. That's why my voice is like this. And shout out to a great local Hamilton band that, born in the 80s, headlined one of the concerts that we saw last night in Hamilton. And you know what's funny is you might be wondering, everyone out there, after the events of last week where we ended up seeing the goodbye to Jay Woodcraft. As head coach of the Edmonton Oilers. Of course, we know he got fired a week ago. He's found a new gig, folks. He was there last night, born in the 80s. He's part of the band now. Take a look. There he is, right there. Jay Woodcraft, man. Look at that. He did a hell of a job on that piano last night. I mean, absolutely. He was absolutely terrific. So there he is. Jay Woodcraft, ladies and gentlemen. Found a new job pretty quick here last night. Now in the music business. Trying to make the most of it. So good stuff there. Yeah, that guy's resemblance to Jay Woodcraft, couldn't believe it. Like, and if you take his facial hair off, he really looked like him. But no doubt that is funny stuff. But that's like, holy shit, that looks like Jay Woodcraft there. And sure enough, and it was perfect timing to say that, post that because of the fact that he just recently got fired. Kyle, what do you think of that? Now that we're on that tangent with the Edmonton Oilers, I don't think he deserved to get fired. At the end of the day, there's a lot more issues with the Edmonton Oilers than Jay Woodcraft. That being said, here we go again with the new coach bump. Chris Knobloch takes over, and they've won 2 games now, 2-0 since he took over. But to me, there were more issues with Edmonton than Woodcraft.
To say the least, you have all that firepower, and you can't find a way to figure out a win, regardless of your coach. Like, it's not like we're playing minor bantam hockey here, and I feel like a coach can really drive a lot of influence. Yeah, that definitely exists at the NHL, but to go that many games in a row, there's clearly a lot of other bigger issues at hand. And I don't know. I've been saying it for years. Edmonton's back end is just atrocious. And at the end of the day, if you don't win, if you're not sound defensively, you're going to be in trouble, right? So I think that's probably one of their bigger issues. I think getting rid of him was probably their easiest, least destructive way to shake things up without blowing the team up, if you will. It's kind of like doing a goalie pulling or switching goalies mid-game, even though the goalie's just been left out to dry. It's sort of try to rattle the team a little bit, and I think that was probably where it was coming from. But it sounded like the guys had a lot of respect for him, and so it's just a tough situation.
Like I say, there's the defensive issues have had all kinds of problems for Edmonton. The goaltending, of course, Skinner and Campbell's not even up with the team anymore. And poor Jack Campbell, man, he's getting whacked down there in the AHL right now. He is really having a tough time down there. I mean, he's giving up 4 goals a game and 18 shots in some of these games. It's all he's facing. He's giving up 4 goals. It's actually hard to watch because he's actually one of the nicest teammates. No one said a bad word about Jack. As far as he's a great teammate, great guy, and for that reason, it sucks seeing him, having this much confidence problems right now with his game. But it is what it is. Let's get into last night first a little bit because it was a short card yesterday. There was only the Sweden game with Toronto, and we'll start there with Toronto and Detroit. For 2 periods, look, the Red Wings were fast asleep. Or the Leafs, I should say, were fast asleep in that game, down 2-0. It looked like there were issues yesterday with the Leafs getting going. I know they said all week long. It's almost like they were setting the stage, getting the excuse machine up and running all week long. Guys, they were talking about, it's taken us a while to get the body clock adjusted to the time change in Sweden. And yeah, that's understandable, but it's almost like they knew ahead of time we're going to have a tough time in that first period. The first game against Detroit, and they did. They really didn't get going until the third period when they got that 2-1 goal, courtesy of Tyler Bertuzzi. That's really what turned the tide in favor of Toronto. William Nylander, we said it on the show yesterday. It had to happen. He had to score there in Sweden. What's he going to do? He's going to let his dad down, Michael Nylander, his grandparents in the building. Apparently, the first time they've seen him live inside the arena for a game. I mean, he had like 90 to 100 tickets bought for the 2 games combined. This game and the Sunday game tomorrow for the Leafs against Minnesota over there in Sweden. So you knew he had to find a way to score. He did. And he had a great game, 3 points, all in the third period for William Nylander. He had the goal. He had the 2 helpers as well. And he literally and figuratively helped the Toronto Maple Leafs back from a 2-0 deficit to win that game by a score of 3-2. Lots of great stuff. Matt Sundin reading off the lineup in the dressing room to the Leafs before the game. That was a cool touch. Anders Salming, the son of Boreas Salming, dropping the ceremonial puck, the ceremonial face-off was really cool as well. So job well done. A lot of Leaf fans, there's a lot of Detroit fans too, but there were Go Leafs Go chants multiple times inside Stockholm. And look, they've got a lot of Swedes. They've got maybe the biggest Swedish star in William Nylander right now, although Elias Pettersson might have something to say about that in Vancouver right now. But yeah, absolutely. It was a great crowd, a lot of Leaf support. I just get the feeling that if you had to poll Swedish hockey fans, what's their favorite NHL team? Toronto Maple Leafs would be right up there for sure. And I'm sure it goes back to when Matt Sundin played there as captain for over a decade. You grew up, you watched one of the absolute best Swedish hockey players at the time, captain a storied franchise like the Toronto Maple Leafs. So not a shock that there's a lot of Swedish hockey fans as far as who their favorite NHL team, they gravitate toward the Leafs. Disappointing from the Buffalo Sabres that they needed Don Granato to fucking ream them out after the second period to start playing because they didn't play well at all, I thought, in the first 2 periods of that game. They got going in the third, made it 3-2, but that's as close as they would get as the Winnipeg Jets hang on for the 3-2 victory against the Sabres. It was a very good prop game, though, for me. We had JJ Paterka for the Buffalo Sabres. He ended up scoring for them last night. Alex Tuck. Was Alex Tuck's goal Alex B. Smith?
No.
Is it a power play goal or no?
It unfortunately was not. That was an unassisted
he had the power play goal. It was 5-on-5. Okay, so Tuck scored, but it wasn't the power play point. But Cole Perfetti, another bargain bin special of the night, cashes in. Plus 300 on Cole Perfetti to score a goal for the Winnipeg Jets last night. That's now 5 straight games with a goal for him. If they're going to keep pricing him at plus 300, we'll be right back betting Cole Perfetti once again next time the Winnipeg Jets are playing. So great to cash that. Jets with the 3-2 win. And then the controversy of the night, by far, between the Florida Panthers and the Anaheim Ducks. Florida with a great start, 2-0, and really surprising to see the defenseman back as well last night for the Florida Panthers, which is great news for them. We talked about how much this team was going to miss the services of Aaron Ekblad and Brandon Montour, and all of a sudden, here they are both back and playing their first game of the season at the same time last night against Anaheim. That being said, Anaheim battled back. Typical Ducks. They never quit. They really don't quit. That is a great trait that they have developed here under Greg Cronin. They really don't quit in the game. But this is one of the most disgraceful, embarrassing misses and bad calls. And just how when you have video replay do you get this wrong? It was 2-1 Florida. There was obviously, it looked like Jakob Silfverberg in the latter stages of the third clearly gets that puck past Anthony Stolarz and in the net, and somehow, and you could see, in my opinion, every angle that was shown, I saw white ice between the puck and the red goal line. And that is supposed to indicate goal as soon as you see that. And there is multiple angles that, and I'm going to actually, if I, and you know, what's funny is that you look at the multiple replays here. I'm going to see if I can get it up on the screen here. But you see the multiple replays of this. And I was at the festival, so I didn't see this live. I was not watching the game live at all. I didn't see any of the game, quite honestly. But I ended up seeing the replays here that we saw. And as you can see here, and I'm see if I can make it a little bigger here. There we go. You're going to see this is the angle right here.
Clear as
Watch
day.
this angle. Look at that. There's white there.
Yeah.
There was white ice between the puck and the red goal line, and somehow we call that no goal. Like, what do we have? A bunch of fucking Stevie Wonders in the video replay room? They can't see shit? Like, how on earth do you say that is no goal? I mean, it's an absolutely horrendous miss. And there's actually another angle. I'm trying to find it here.
Here, that one right there.
There it is. Look at that.
Yeah.
There's definitely white between the goal line and his pad. Look at that. And somehow called no goal. Absolute robbery for the Anaheim Ducks. What did the Anaheim Ducks do to piss the officiating off this year? Because they got screwed against Pittsburgh. Now, they came back and won that game in Pittsburgh, but they got hosed a couple of times in that hockey game, especially with a goal that was called back for phantom goalie interference in that game. So that's a really, really bad miss by the NHL last night. Horrendous, bad as it gets. And I can understand why Alex is even angrier about this because that's your 2-2 tie right there, which it should have been. And guess who was on the draw, Kyle, last night in that Florida Anaheim game? Oh, at a very nice, what was it? Plus 360?
Plus 390.
Plus 390 price, the draw, which probably would have cashed if that goal counts, if they say that's a goal and it goes to 2-2. And sure enough, that ends up being a bad beat candidate right there. So absolutely brutal stuff. And it's hard to wrap my head around the fact that with video replay, which is supposed to ensure that you get it right, they still didn't get it right there. Hard to fathom that, Alex.
Yeah, I mean, 5 minutes. It took them 5 real-time minutes to figure this out and still get it wrong. Yeah. And the fact that Anthony Stolarz is wearing red pads where you can clearly see from multiple angles, even if you don't have a line, even if you don't have a teleprompter, you can see the space of red line, white ice, black puck, and red pads as clear as day. And the fact that they have all these angles and spent 5 whole minutes and still get it wrong, it is just inexcusable at this point. Like, how does Toronto not even, come in and pipe in? So that's the other thing. You're not only talking about the referees here, you're talking about the video crew here, but Toronto didn't even go back and look at this and see this. This should have taken longer than 5 minutes once they got the call wrong the first time by saying it was a good goal. How does Anaheim not come back Anaheim not come back and try and challenge that still? It's insane. And like I said, the whole pace of the game completely changed. And had that been a goal, it would have come to a complete standstill. We definitely would have gone into overtime because nothing else really much happened. Florida was playing keep away for most of that, 3 or 4 shifts before that, because of the fact they were just trying to kill time, and run out the clock. So it's just absolutely brutal. And you can't have this in this league. These things have to be corrected. You can't have long reviews and then still get the call wrong. It's inexcusable.
Yeah. Bad miss. Absolutely a horrendous miss. Kyle, anything from the games yesterday you want to talk about? I know you're a Leaf fan. Obviously, you were happy to see them come back, beat Detroit. What did you think of anything you saw yesterday?
Yeah, no, it's good to see the Leafs get a win over there. Not totally surprised. Like you guys were both saying, with the big Swedish contingency that they've had throughout the years. So I'm expecting another win tomorrow. Beyond that, not gonna lie, did see the highlight of the poor call there. Pretty insane. I don't know, you guys. I feel like we're beating a dead horse here at this point, but it's in the world of video review. Like, the whole reason we've implemented that, and all of sports are becoming that, to get the calls right. And so it's a little bit baffling. But I'm excited for the slate today.
Yeah, what's the worst part too? Is the time that these reviews are taking. 5 minutes is absurd. Come on, there's got to be a way to just streamline this and make it quicker. I mean, my goodness, you talk about killing the flow of the game, and just 5 minute reviews are too much. It bothers me in the NFL when I'm waiting there with my thumbs for 5 minutes while they're reviewing some kind of touchdown call. Whether he's in bounds or whatever the case may be. It bothers me in the NBA when they do that their review is worse than anything. And theirs. I mean, it takes forever for the NBA to do their review of plays that are challenged and/or
it's everywhere. It's in Major League Baseball.
Yep.
You got reviews that take forever in baseball now too. It's in everything. And the fact that we have all of these angles, all of these cameras, and instant replay, it's not like this is some brand new thing. How does it take this long for people to see something that we're slowing down? We're already making these snap judgments in real time, right? All the referees and umpires and fans and everybody who's seeing this. So now we're slowing it down, and we're still not getting it right in any of these sports. It's insane. Yeah,
that's exactly. I mean, we've got replay in all these sports to get it right, and it bothers me when it takes that long. And then now we've got the situations unfolding where they're taking this damn long, feels like a lifetime, and they're not getting it right. Still not getting it right. So it's crazy, and it's unfortunate what happened to the Anaheim Ducks. Greg Cronin is a saint, by the way. The way he talked about that after the game, he said, "I really don't know what to say." We just everyone. He was very calm about it. I wouldn't have been so calm. I would have probably gone ape shit. I probably would have gone nuts.
And you know what? It had Florida scored an empty net goal, and they had done that, like say as soon as Ducks pulled the goal, it was about maybe 2:15 left. Had they scored right away, I bet you we see Greg get thrown out of that game the same way he did in that Pittsburgh game. He would have let the rest happen, only because they still had a shot the entire time. That's the only reason we didn't see him lose it.
Yeah. And I don't think he wanted to get thrown out again either. I think he realized, hey, I know what happened the last time.
And no use getting fined. No use getting fined in the press conference afterward for saying something when you could have said it right to them.
There's not much you can do, and I feel like the league's already been cracking down this year with the coaches getting all over the refs. So I'm sure he's got all of that back in his mind, not wanting to. It's so crazy that everyone can see it. It's like, what else can you really say?
Right. Yeah, exactly. But I don't want to see the NHL become like the NBA, and the fact that you give a death stare to a referee in the NBA, he'll tee you up. I see the tee all the time. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's ridiculous. Talk about soft. Talk about having no fucking guts. Talk about having no, you're just so you're so worn out, basically, that one little comment from a player that doesn't like a call, or one glare and all of a sudden you're giving them a technical in that sport. Like NBA refs, man, they're thin skin. They are very, very thin skin. They are soft. Like they can't handle any criticism. They don't tolerate any criticism whatsoever. I mean, they just the one moment you say anything or look at them the wrong way, it's like technical or throw you out the game.
They make MLB umpires look like bonks, honestly.
Yeah. How about you take some responsibility for a fucking horrendous call rather than just throw someone out of the game because you're offended? My goodness. But that's another story. All right, let's get into the Saturday card. We've got a big one. We've got a couple 3 afternoon games actually still to go on this Saturday. We'll begin with Vegas and Philadelphia. Golden Knights -155, -160, road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. This one, actually, I'm going to be very brief with. Don't really have a strong feel for the game. I mean, Vegas, they found a way to escape with the win against Montreal, but that was definitely not one of their better defensive games. It wasn't one of Aiden Hill's better games, but good teams find a way, and they're the Stanley Cup champs for a reason. Like that was probably the C- game if you had to give a grade to how the way they played against Montreal, and they still found a way to win in that game. We'll see if they can carry that over here, but I'll tell you what, I'm not really in a rush to bet against the Flyers at this price right now, given the way they've played. Very nice win for them in Carolina the other night, 3-1 against the Hurricanes. They're playing that, John Tortorella, hard effort every single night. I do worry eventually, the lack of, consistent offense and weapons throughout their lineup is going to catch up to them. But, right now, Philadelphia, they've won 3 in a row. They ended their road trip after the loss to San Jose. They ended up beating Anaheim 6-3, beat a good LA Kings team 4-2, and then they beat Carolina 3-1. Now, this is the first home game, after playing 4 straight on the road. So you could say it's a little dubious spot, but Alex and I, we talk about this all the time. This is that early start, right? 10 a.m. Pacific on the body clock for Vegas. How do they react to it? Philadelphia, meanwhile, we've watched this for years with the Flyers. They've played a shit ton of these Saturday afternoon early games at home. So they're very comfortable with it. They're very much used to it. However, here's another counterpoint. Anaheim played in Philly a few weeks ago, and it was a Saturday afternoon game at this time, and Anaheim went in there and dummied them. Anaheim just beat the hell out of Philadelphia in that game, 7-4, October 28th, and it was a Saturday game at 1 p.m. Eastern. So maybe the West Coast team traveling east and playing on this early time, which would be 10 a.m. local in Vegas, maybe they can handle it, Vegas, because Anaheim sure did when they went into Philadelphia a few Saturdays ago and beat them at this time. So it's a tough game all around for me. Not much on it, side or total. I'm going to leave it alone. The other 2 games, I have wagers involved in the next 2 afternoon games, but not this one. Alex, what do you think here? Golden Knights, Flyers.
Yeah, I would lean with Flyers as well. Like I said, it's the irony. And Kyle, you mentioned it about the Frozen Frenzy night. It's the last time these 2 teams played. This was the last game to start that night. So it was a 10 o'clock, body clock for Philly on the road. And now here you have a virtual 10 a.m. flip around for Vegas. And they've been, on the East Coast trip. And I was just kind of looking back, skimming through to see how Vegas has done just general overall on the East Coast. Because it seems like they had, at least in every season, there's been a blip where when they've gone east, they've kind of struggled and haven't played their sharpest hockey. Now, it's usually been later in the year. Just looking back, even last year, the East Coast trip they had early, they had swept that, won 5 in a row. But this is a spot historically, and that's something we kind of look at when we talk about teams going cross-country, right? We talk about it with San Jose all the time. Going east. We talk about it with a couple of teams that go out west that struggle. And Vegas just kind of seems to where they have those spots that, they don't always, put things together, as smoothly on the road. And certainly, like I said, in day games, Philly has that advantage. Even when they've been bad, they still have been playing these games at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. So they're not completely thrown out of the loop by playing an early start time. I would definitely maybe look at Philly here. Like I said, look at the pace of play as this game's about to start within a half hour and maybe jump in live.
Well, definitely a good idea. Maybe look at a live wager if you're unsure prior to opening puck drop. Kyle, what do you think here? Vegas, Philly.
It's a bit of a tough one. I mean, I think you said it. The line is a bit tricky with this 1 p.m. start. I hated these games starting at this time. The one thing I will
Does
say,
anybody like these games when they're this early? Doesn't it throw off your pregame meal and your nap time and all that bullshit?
Everything is thrown out of sync. So the one thing I would say, and I don't know, I know Philly just came off of a road trip. I almost liked these games better on the road because you're already a little bit out of your routine and you're kind of on your road routine, and it's just you have less distractions. Like if you think about it, you're at home, maybe you have a wife and kids, everyone's waking up. It's just your head's not in it. And until you get to the rink, it's very difficult to get into it, but you're probably, again, not 100% in it because it's 10 a.m. when you're showing up, sort of thing. And so so coming in on the road, less distractions, and you just get up, have your coffee, go to the rink. You're already with the guys. You're probably a little bit more dialed in. I think Philly's had a bit of a slow starts this season. And so I kind of like Vegas, obviously them being the stronger team as well. Now, again, I think with the line, it's a bit of a wild card. But if I had a gun to my head, I might go Vegas.
And thankfully you don't have a gun here right now. To me, it's just a little too pricey. Rich brings up a good point in the chat. Philly maybe could have beaten, maybe should have beat Vegas earlier this year when they played in Vegas. I remember that was on the betcast. We watched it, and Vegas needed a third period rally and that final minute goal from Shea Theodore. A seeing eye shot to win that game 3-2. So
glad they didn't, because we all had Vegas live, if I'm not mistaken.
We all did. Yes, we did. See, that's what you miss on the betcasts, people. Money winners. There you go. And the betcast provided one with the Vegas Golden Knights, obviously live in that game. So it is a little revenge spot here for the Flyers. Like I say, I could make cases for both teams, and that's why personally I'm staying out of it. Even the props, I really think this could be a lower scoring battle, quite honestly. Vegas is not going to want to do what they did against Montreal, 6-5 like that. That's not, the style of game they want to get into on a regular basis. It's going to be Carter Hart and Logan Thompson, your two goalies. Chandler Stevenson is a game-time decision. Now, he's missed some time. We'll see if he's good to go. We're probably going to find out in a moment or so if he's on the ice. Nick Hague's still on IR. For me, for props, it would be Owen Tippett and William Karlsson. Okay, one on each team. Owen Tippett's red hot right now for the Flyers. He has definitely been one of their better goal scorers lately. And then on the Vegas side, no doubt, William Karlsson's been really good. All right, we go to Music City. Chicago Blackhawks, Nashville Predators. Nashville minus 200, home favorites. The total 6 here in this game. Chicago losing to the Tampa Bay Lightning the other night. They will be in bounce back mode here on the road against the Nashville Predators. Nashville, a really, really inconsistent mess of a team. I guess that's the best way to put it. You know what's amazing to me, guys? And this is my premise here for making this bet. You got Chicago at 5-9. They've actually been better on the road where they're 4-5. You've got Nashville at 5-10. So you got two teams that have the same number of wins, and Nashville actually has one loss more than Chicago. How the hell are you putting them out there at minus 200? How? I mean, my goodness. I mean, this Nashville team, we're pricing this team like they fucking got Martin Erat and all these guys from years ago when they were really, really good. And, they had Pekka Rinne in his prime. Or, it's just unreal that there's still this. I really, truly believe Nashville, especially at home, still often gets overpriced. I mean, I've said this over and over about Nashville. I cashed a ticket taking the big underdog on the road against Nashville earlier this week. Anaheim went in there and beat Nashville 3-2. Nashville was laying an absurd price in that game, minus 180, just about. And here they are laying minus 200. Give me the Hawks here. Give me Chicago plus 170. This is just a misprice, in my opinion. You cannot put Nashville as a minus 200 home favorite right now when basically these are identical teams as far as record is concerned at this point in time. And Chicago's actually been better on the road as of late. And I like the idea of getting them off a couple of losses now. They lost to Florida at the end of the road trip, come back home, lose to Tampa, and now you got them looking to bounce back. And meanwhile, you got a Nashville team that's 1-6 in their last 7, and they've lost 4 straight going into this game. So to me, you look at it, I know Nashville's won 5 of the last 6 meetings between these two teams, but the very last meeting they had, which was the final game last year, this will be their first game regular season meeting this year, but their last regular season meeting a season ago, Chicago won here in Nashville, 2-1. And they were about an underdog of even bigger, plus 210 underdog in that game. So it's just an overpriced favorite, in my opinion. So I like Chicago here. Alex, what do you think here? Blackhawks, Predators.
Well, I hope you're right, but I'm staying away from this side. Like you mentioned, they did get the win in Music City the last time they played. That broke a 6-game losing streak in Nashville for the Hawks. They have not done well against them overall. 3-12 the last 15 for Chicago against Nashville. And the way that they just looked lifeless in that third period, when a game that they should have come back and battled back and won, in my opinion, at home against Tampa Bay, a Tampa Bay team that hasn't been playing the best hockey that you've already beat so far. And they just completely laid an egg late in that contest. And I think that might be the reason why we've seen that, because now here we are, we've seen this is the second time we're talking about this is a Hawks team that should have won a game and didn't. Going back to that Florida game on the road and then back home against Tampa. So that's now problematic. And now we're starting to see this is the reason why, okay, yes, all the Connor Bedard hype in the world, but this team is still bad. And with Arvid Soderblom in that, who I distinctively remember getting lit the fuck up in Nashville.
That is concerning, I will admit.
That is very, very, very concerning. So there's no way I can take a side here at all. I'm going with the first period over. I grabbed 140, shopper off that. Anything higher than 150, maybe try to grab it in game. Nashville's been on a great run to the first period over 11-2. The Hawks just had their run. They were with 5 games in a row going over in the first period. They just had that snapped in the last game against Tampa. So definitely think we see some good pace here. Also 4-2 to the first period over in the last 6 meetings. So that's the only thing we're saying with here.
There you go. First period over here for Alex with Chicago and Nashville. Yeah, Kyle, we've got this thing going with the goalies. When they're good, we respect them and we give them their proper name. When they're struggling and they suck, we basically rip them and we give them an insulting, disrespectful, motherfucking respectful name, as I say on the NBA show. With Arvid Soderblom, early in the season, he was really good. Actually, the first few starts, he was good. Then he gets lit up by Arizona. So early, we're calling him Arvid Soderblom. Very good. But then he started to suck, and we call him Arvid Soderblom. There you go.
It's been going on for about a year now. So
Soderblom. And then David Riddick, same thing. We call him Big Save Dave all these years when he plays well. When he sucks, Big Siv Dave.
Yeah,
it's a big difference. When David Riddick's good, we give him the respectful name. When he's bad, we don't. That's the way we operate here. What do you think here, Kyle? Chicago, Nashville.
I mean, I think it's gonna be a good game. They're basically playing for last place in the Central, so I expect both teams will probably come out strong. Obviously, again, that sort of early Central Time start, which will be tough, but I expect both teams to come ready to play. I also bit of a tough read, especially with that line. A lot of the things Alex was saying, I agree with. I'm not a big first period bet, but first period over under better, or just like period over under better. But I'm down to jump on board with Alex's bet. I kind of like that one.
And if there's any person to tail as far as first period bets are concerned, Alex is a good place to start.
He came very a lot of things to back that bet. So I was like, all right.
Nope. I mean, I remember off the top of my head, Islanders Canucks the other night. Yeah, over 1.5 in the first period. Now, Alex is good identifying those. And again, shout out to Chris Otto, who's a big, assistance, if you will, with the identifying those great first period totals bets with the great charts that he makes available. And of course, we post those on the Patreon page at patreon.com/iceguys. So shout out to Chris Otto and the great work that he keeps doing with those. As far as player props, no, Bedard finally cooled off against Tampa Bay. That being said, he's done a lot of his damage on the road lately, especially that road trip. He was good. So I don't mind coming back to the well, taking a shot with Bedard here, a goal and assist prop in this game. For the Nashville Predators, tread lightly, because this is a team that offensively, they've had some struggles of late. But Soderblom is in net, the great equalizer potentially for a struggling offense. He could be the cure for what ails you. So is that going to be the case for Nashville today? We'll have to wait and see. All right, the final afternoon game, Edmonton, Tampa Bay. We've got the Oilers -125, road favorites. 7 is the total in this game. And I'm certainly interested in the over, but I'm going to wait for a live 6.5. I think that's the best way to approach it. I was looking there were some 6.5s this morning, juiced at -135, -140. but those are all gone right now, and we're seeing 7s pretty much across the board. You look at these two teams, and Tampa Bay, they did have those 2 back-to-back shutout losses to Carolina and St. Louis, but they did bounce back with the 4-2 win against Chicago. They've obviously done a better job scoring goals here at home for the most part. We'll see if that carries over to this game. Edmonton, since the coaching change, I find their offense has been a lot more dynamic. They're kind of getting back to having that explosiveness again, cycling the puck well, doing things well in the offensive zone. I thought things had gotten a little bit stagnant there last week. We know defensively and goaltending, they've had their issues all season, but even their offense at times, like they went through a stretch there where they scored 2 goals, or fewer in 3 of 4 games right before Jay Woodcraft got fired. And now since Knobloch has been behind the bench, 2-0, and they've scored 4 goals in each game so far. So Edmonton's starting to get on track a little bit offensively, not to mention that Edmonton's actually now scored 4 goals in 3 straight games. So like I said, again, they're starting to get things back in order, at least at the offensive end. I think the jury's still out on them defensively at the moment. By the way, there's some key injuries potentially here for the Tampa Bay Lightning. Someone talking about Kucherov injured, but he was injured, but he's good. Looks like he's good to go, and he's going to be available here for Tampa Bay. The bigger concern is Cirelli, who has blocked a shot against Chicago. He left that game, didn't return, and he is questionable for this game against Edmonton. And with Cirelli, you miss his defensive play even more. He is one of the best defensive forwards on this Lightning team, and that's significant. When you don't have Vasilevsky, you have Jonas Johansson still in net. When you don't have, I think, the back-checking, shut-down, defensive-minded forwards in your bottom 6 that you've had in years past, if Cirelli doesn't play today, who's one of the better defensive forwards on the team still remaining, that's a huge gap, and that could hurt them a bit at the defensive end of the ice today without Cirelli if he doesn't go. So makes me more interested in the over, but again, probably best to wait, find the 6.5 or better with a live look. What do you think here, Alex? Edmonton, Tampa Bay.
Yeah, this is just a game, a side or total I would be looking at waiting for a live. Like I said, obviously Edmonton with the momentum of Knobloch, and that's something that obviously that's the reason why they're favored here. I think, if you're talking about Woodcraft still being around, we're probably talking about an even line, maybe even Tampa slightly favored. But that momentum kind of shifts things in Oilers' way. And like I said, it's not really comfortable laying it with the Oilers, even though with that momentum. And this is a Tampa Bay team. Every time we try to just slam them and say, oh, they're not playing that well, they got Johansson starting in that, then all of a sudden they pop up and have a 3-1 win, or they play close and tight. So it's one I'm more than likely just going to stay out of, but I will be watching it live to try and look for something. Definitely, if I can get a 6.5, the thing you worry about with these two teams too, you worry about a quick goal that completely throws you out of looking for the live first period or full game over here. So maybe tread a little lightly with that. If you have to lay a price, you might as well just go on and deal with that. At 6.5, lay $1.20, lay $1.15. Don't try and get greedy and wait for plus money here because you may not have enough time.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think here, Kyle? Edmonton, Tampa Bay.
It's another weird one, honestly. I feel like Edmonton, since the coaching change, has been playing a little loose. I feel like oftentimes new coach steps in, it's rather than coming in and implementing some super rigid system, especially with all the talent they have up front, it's just, hey, let's go play free. Everyone stop worrying about everything. Like, it is what it is. We're moving forward here. And that makes them a big-time wild card. Now they're also playing very well-coached Tampa team in Tampa. So it's a tough one. I'm probably going to stay away. I do like the over at the 6.5. Obviously both teams have a ton of firepower up front. So that I do like, especially with, like you were mentioning, Cirelli being out. So that I would like that, maybe something live as well.
Yeah. As far as props, Paul, Barré-Boulet, and Hagel continued to be, the go-to props for me, a little undervalued for Tampa Bay. As far as Edmonton goes, it looks like Connor Brown is back for them, and it looks like Chris Knobloch might put him up on the top line. He'll get a big assignment. Yep, starting the game with McDavid and Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on the top line. So there is Connor Brown. got my Connors mixed up. And then there's Connor McDavid in this game too. So too many Connors. Connor Brown is on the top line with McDavid and Nugent Hopkins. Let me see what the value is for his props. That's going to be on my ticket today for sure. On my card today for sure. Connor Brown, looking at his props, getting that top line spot. Now, again, this is a guy that hasn't exactly had a good job finishing his chances, but he's plus 450. It looks like at BetMGM and PointsBet to score a goal here. So again, tons of value there for Connor Brown playing with McDavid and Nugent Hopkins on the top line, and plus 450 he is to score a goal in this game. So definitely going to take a look at that. Now, the issue with Connor Brown is all the speed in the world. He's a great skater, really, really gifted skater, terrific, and gets chances, but finishing the chances has been an issue. Even going back to when he was with the Leafs a long time ago. It was always got all the speed, great on the penalty kill because he has that speed. He's got the ability to track down, hunt down pucks, be in great position, and penalty kill. When you're a penalty killer, you got to have some level of skating speed. He has that, but just the lack of consistent finish has hindered him over the years. And we'll see if he's got a little more in him now with McDavid playing on the top line with him tonight, or this afternoon rather, in this game. All right, the rest of the games are night games. Arizona, Winnipeg. We've got the Jets minus 155, home favorite, 6.5 the total. Rest advantage for Arizona, which, I think is a little bit significant. Jets have had a great homestand. Quite honestly, they've played very well. They win again last night by a score of 3-2 against Buffalo. There's no doubt they're playing very well at this point in time. This is the end, I believe, of the homestand for Winnipeg. And it's that old theory. And we got, of course, Kyle with us. Good day to have Kyle with us. There is some thought in that theory when you've had a great long homestand. Sometimes that final game, when it's been going well, things get a little stale, monotony sets in, and you're ready to get on the road. And maybe you're not always at your absolute best in these kind of spots. So I'd be a little worried about the Jets here. Minus 155 tonight against Arizona. I don't know if I would back Arizona because Winnipeg has just completely owned them. 7 straight. They have beaten Arizona, but I don't want to lay this price with the Jets in this spot. Successful homestand coming to an end tonight, and then they go on the road to face Tampa Bay, Florida, and Nashville later this week. That's another thing, too. The first destination on that road trip for Winnipeg is Tampa. So it's the sunshine, the warm weather. And believe me, you notice the difference when you play in Winnipeg right before that. So they're going to be excited, I think, about getting down there to the sunshine of FLA after this. So I'm not sure we're going to get the best out of the Jets tonight. Does that make me take Arizona? It has me leaning Arizona. I don't know if I will take it, though, because they have just struggled against the Jets. I do like the over here, though. Vejmelka for Arizona, and it's going to be Laurent Brossoit, of course, in net for the Jets after we saw Hellebuck last night. So I think we do have the chance to see some goals. We saw a lot of goals when they played in the desert just recently. 5-3 it was in favor of Winnipeg just recently when they played in the little bandbox there, Mullet Arena down in Tempe. So I do like over 6.5, lean Arizona. I don't know if I'll get there with that bet, though. What do you think, Alex? Coyotes, Jets?
I think I might take a shot here with the Coyotes plus money. I haven't backed them a heck of a whole lot. I feel like this could be one of those spots here where, like I said, we talked about it all year about, identifying these Coyote spots where I feel like they could, be a live dog and kind of press the action. I think this might be one of those spots here. I'm taking a shot with Arizona. Like I said, it's kind of a gut slight fade with the Jets here. Like I said, we were backing them. They had the momentum rolling. They were playing well when, Bonus was out and everybody was kind of rallying around, that whole situation. Now, I think this may be one of those spots where Arizona can kind of catch them napping. Like I said, a mostly empty Jets arena. I think this could be a game for the Arizona at a plus price.
All right, Alex, liking it. Arizona plus 135, and I certainly lean in that direction. I'll get to the props in a minute. You guys already know what I'm liking in that game. If you watched yesterday's show, you already know it. What do you think here, Kyle? Coyotes, Jets?
I got to be honest. I have not followed these two teams a ton this year. I don't know. I feel like it's just two smaller markets that don't come to my attention a ton. I don't know. I mean, to the point you raised about being a last game of a long homestand, I don't think that gets too much in your head, especially if you've been hot. I feel like you kind of ride that confidence. I doubt they're thinking too much beyond the sunshine. like looking forward to it, but hey, we got a job here to do still, and let's get this W, and we'll go have some fun down south. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like Winnipeg. It's Saturday night game at home. Like they're going to get up. It's a tough building to play in. So for that reason, I would not go with Arizona. But at that line, it's tough. It's a tough one. I guess I would lean Winnipeg.
All right, lean Winnipeg for Kyle, but again, minus 155. Not a great price if you like that side.
I would agree.
Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah, not the greatest price, unless you take him in -1 or regulation, which we always endorse doing that if you're going to take a favorite in this price range. But yeah, as far as props go, look, Logan Cooley, man, he finally found the back of the net for Arizona. You know what that can be sometimes. He gets the one goal and the floodgates start to open after that. Don't be surprised if he gets a few now. So Logan Cooley, Lawson Krause, of course, you got to keep coming back to Lawson Krause. He scored again against Columbus the other night. And you know who we're going to on Winnipeg, Mr. Cole Perfetti, 5-game goal scoring streak, just keeps on rolling for this team, playing with extreme confidence. And there's no adjustment in the goal prop. It's still plus 310 at FanDuel. How the hell does his goal scorer prop get better today? It was only plus 300 yesterday. FanDuel's got plus 310 today, and the guy has scored 5 straight games, Cole Perfetti. So I'm going to keep betting those great prices for Cole Perfetti, plus 310 right now at FanDuel. So no doubt, a great value there as far as that goes. Yeah, it looks like Michelli day-to-day. Barrett Hayton is out. Oh, we've got Logan Cooley's on the second line. Nick Bukestad, it looks like, has been tabbed by Andre Tourigny to center the top line for the Arizona Coyotes tonight. So he is definitely getting the bump up the lineup. So someone was asking there in the chat, yeah, who is moving up the lineup for the Yotes with Hayton out? And that would be Nick Bukestad. So definitely some value. What's Nick Bukestad in terms of his goal prop here tonight? Plus 370. Yeah. I think that's worth a look too. Definitely centering that top line with Schmaltz and Keller, and you get a matchup against Winnipeg backup goalie tonight, of course, Laurent Brossoit, not Connor Hellebuck. So not a bad look there, in my opinion. Take a shot with Bukestad to find the back of the net. All right, Pittsburgh, Carolina minus 160, home favorite, 6.5 the total. I like Carolina a little bit here in the first period puck line. I think that's the best approach in this game. They can't be happy about losing at home to the Flyers in their last game. You have a chance maybe to pounce early on the Penguins coming in here tonight. They needed a better start. Obviously, they didn't have a good start at all against Philadelphia the other night, and it really hurt them. So I think the onus for Rod Brind'Amour is get a better first 20 minutes under your belt tonight, so you can get -0.5 plus 150 with the first period puck line on Carolina. That being said, I'm also going to come back and sprinkle a little bit on the draw in this game, which I do think's got some potential here. 6 games where they've all been tight, the last 6 head-to-head meetings with the Penguins and the Hurricanes. If you actually look, we saw last year in Carolina a 2-1 win for Carolina, a 3-2 win for Carolina. Both games in Pittsburgh last year went to overtime between these two teams. There was a 4-2 game the year before in Pittsburgh, and then in Carolina the year before it was 3-2 Hurricanes in overtime. So 3 of the last 6 meetings have gone past regulation. I think 5 of the 6 meetings have been decided by 1 goal. So we've seen close games. So I like Carolina to get the jump early in this game, like 1-0, that kind of thing after the first period. But I think the draw is live. I think Pittsburgh probably gets a little stronger as the game goes on. So a little Carolina first period puck line and a little bit on the draw for me here as well. Alex, Pittsburgh, Carolina.
Yeah, I was right on the draw with you. I got plus 370 at FanDuel. He said 3 of the last 6 to go past regulation. 6 of the last 7 meetings decided by 1 goal. So this definitely feels like it could be one of those tight contests. But I think I might tell you there on that Hurricanes, that first period puck line as well, too. I can definitely see where Carolina might jump out early. So that can also lead to an opening for a better first period over. That's something I'll try and grab in game. So small play on Carolina for first period puck line, and that kind of leads to opening for a live first period over, but definitely riding the draw.
All right, liking the draw. And again, for me, this is a plus 150 and a plus 370 on this game with the Hurricanes first period puck line in the draw. So if I hit one of them, even if it's a 1-1 split, it's profitable. It ends up being profit. So that's what we're looking for. Yeah, goaltending tonight, Jari for Pittsburgh, not confirmed yet, but projected to be Antti Ranta in net tonight for the Hurricanes, it looks like. What do you think here, Kyle? Pittsburgh, Carolina.
No, I like what you guys have been saying with the draw. Like you said, they're two very evenly matched teams. I think Pittsburgh's slowly starting to find their game, both coming off losses here. So it'll be another good game. I think evenly matched. So yeah, I would go with the draw. Like I said earlier, I'm not a big period guy, so I'm not going to jump on that one with you guys, but I like it.
You can cheer us on then, or me on, yeah. Good stuff, liking the draw too. As far as props go in this game, this is a weird game. This could be Pittsburgh. I want to bet over, but I'm having a hard time betting Carolina over right now because they've trended under. I think they want to, and at home they've been an under machine. Go and look at Carolina's home games. It's been one under after another when they've played at home this year. They're 4-1 at home, but the home games we saw 3-1 loss to Philly, stayed under, 3-2 win against Buffalo in overtime, stayed under. A 3-0 win against San Jose at home, stayed under. 3-2 win against Seattle in overtime, stayed under. So the Hurricanes have really been trending to the under here on home ice in recent games, and we will see if that continues. 8-2 to the under overall as well for Carolina in their last 10 games. So we'll see if that trend continues here tonight. All right, Montreal, Boston, right in Kyle's neck of the woods there, Beantown. Canadiens and Bruins. Boston minus 270, home favorites, 6 the total in this game. Mm-hmm. Obviously, the big news, Milan Lucic earlier today, domestic dispute, arrested, indefinite, leave from the hockey team. Probably his days are numbered, if it comes to light that something significant and serious has happened involving him and his significant other. So definitely unfortunate news to hear that. And Boston doesn't screw around with that kind of stuff. They built their team on, very being professional, being responsible human beings, over the years. So yeah, they don't take that shit lightly, and they already put out the statement right away. Boston, by the way, you don't say revenge spot very often for the Boston Bruins, but you actually are saying that here because they lost to the Montreal Canadiens last Saturday night in Montreal. So will they want some payback here? Probably. We'll see if they're able to get it. Montreal coming off 3 straight losses. Funny, they beat Boston in overtime last Saturday night. They haven't won since then. They lose to Calgary 2-1, Vancouver 5-2, and then the 6-5 loss against Vegas, where they actually played pretty well. Caden Primo played pretty well, but unfortunately, the roof caved in on them in the third period. Vegas really made a strong push, and they were able to come back and beat Montreal in that game. That win for Montreal, by the way, last week, that snapped a 9-game win streak in the head-to-head series for Boston over Montreal. They had dominated the Canadiens, and then the Canadiens finally snapped that long losing streak to the Bruins last week. My guess is they are not going to get a second straight win here against the Boston Bruins, but it's hard to find the value. I mean, you're talking about a minus 270 favorite, so not much here for me. Pass. Just Boston wins. I'm just not interested with as far as the value goes. Not enough for me to get involved. What do you think here, Alex?
Yeah, it's more likely going to be a pass. Might look for maybe this could be a lower scoring kind of a start. We can try and grab like a 4.5 over in the late in the first period or beginning of the second period. But other than that, this is to be kind of an observation game for me.
Yeah, I mean, if you like Boston, take it. Maybe try the minus 1.5. I mean, they're sometimes some of one of those teams that they don't always get the 2-goal margin or more in victory, but that's the only thing that's got any kind of value here is that minus 1.5 for Boston on the puck line. What do you think here, Kyle? You're right there. Boston, your backyard, Canadiens, Bruins.
Yeah, I actually like the minus 1.5. I feel like I would have been more confident in it if the Lucic stuff didn't all come up. It's tough to see how a team would react to that, but obviously Boston's tight group, a lot of true professionals there. They're going to want the revenge. They're going to want to move the headlines away from all of the Lucic noise, and they're going to want to come out and dominate tonight and get back on track. So I see them having a strong game, and I don't know. I mean, it's always a good game between Boston and Montreal, so I expect Montreal to play well, but just knowing the Bruins and what they can bring to the table, I like the -1.5.
You know what? The puck line might get there for you, Kyle, because I'm just looking now, -1.5. I'm looking at Boston when hosting Montreal the last 5 times, 3-1, 4-1, 5-2, 5-1, and 4-2 for the Boston Bruins. They won every game by at least 2 goals against this team here at the TD Garden. So we'll see if that continues here tonight. Funny story is that Kyle was at a Bruin Leaf game, and it was that game that went to overtime, and I told him, bet the draw that night, and sure enough, he cashed in. So he's learning, Alex.
Nice,
slowly but surely.
There you go. I'm telling you, those draws. We know what we say about the draws, or at least I've come up with this saying: a draw a day keeps the bookies away. There you go.
There you go.
And it does,
I like it.
especially at those prices, like +300, +400, with the majority of them. All right, we move along. Rangers taking on the Devils. We've got New Jersey -115, -120. Home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. There was some chatter from Lindy Ruff yesterday that there might be a Jack Hughes return tonight in this game. Now, obviously, Timo Meyer's still day-to-day. Hischier is going to be long-term. But Jack Hughes, a game-time decision for the New Jersey Devils tonight. So every little bit helps. We know this team has really, really scuffled as of late without Jack Hughes, although they finally did get a win for the first time since Jack Hughes got injured over the Pittsburgh Penguins the other night. A nice 6-2 or 5-2 victory for the Devils in that game. Will they be able to carry that over here against the Rangers? That remains to be seen. The New York Rangers, meanwhile, they've obviously had a very solid year. It's the typical New York Rangers, or Peter Laviolette, I should say, good first year. Usually when he takes over a team, there's that immediate strong play that he seems to deliver wherever he goes, and he keeps on doing that. I mean, 9-1 in their last 10 games, and the only loss was that shootout loss to the Minnesota Wild, where they had a huge lead, and Minnesota came all the way back and won 5-4. So there's no doubt this has been a very, very good Rangers team, very good defensively. The goaltending from, to be honest, both of their goalies, Quick has even played more good than bad in a lot of his starts. But definitely Shesterkin, it goes without saying, has been excellent. We might see Jonathan Quick tonight, but it's not confirmed. Just a projection. He might get the nod in goal for the New York Rangers. This is not a back-to-back, but there is a chance we see Quick in net for the Rangers. And it should be on the New Jersey side, Vitek Vanacek. Not, again, confirmed yet, but the projections are he will be in net for this game. You look at series history, and certainly it's been under series history. Now, a lot of those were the playoff games. You know, we did see some higher scoring games in the regular season last year between these two teams. New Jersey, typically a team I want to bet over. The Rangers, not so much. However, even the New York Rangers, 3 of their last 4 games have gone over the total. And we have seen the Rangers find their way to scoring 4 goals or more in 4 straight games coming into this one. So I actually am going to go over 6.5 here with Devils and Rangers. I lean Rangers. I might even sprinkle on the draw, though, here. I think it's a close, competitive game either way. Jack Hughes being back certainly would help the cause for the Devils. I'm probably going to be on the draw either way. If Hughes is out, I'll be more interested maybe in the Rangers. But right now, I definitely think the draw could be worth a look. Again, you look series history here with these two teams. Regular season last year, 4-3 Rangers in overtime at Madison Square Garden. 4-3 New Jersey over the Rangers in Newark in overtime. Back-to-back overtime games. And then the last regular season game last year was 2-1 Devils. And that nearly got to overtime. And then in the playoff series, we had some tight games, and one game went to overtime. So draw and over 6.5, lean Rangers. Might even bet Rangers, too. Add that to the mix if Hughes is out for New Jersey. What do you think here, Alex? Devils, Rangers?
Yeah, I grabbed Rangers at even money this morning, and now, like I said, seeing $1.15s, $1.20s, and I guess that is responsive on 2 things. One, like I said, waiting for the confirmation of Hughes, but also Shesterkin potentially being back, if not tonight, but certainly within the next couple of games. That has definitely shifted things away, and I think this is still a cheap price for a Rangers team that's been playing some decent hockey right now. And we're not going to get this kind of a price if they continue this heat. This 120 will turn into 150, 160, 200 real soon, because we know when the Rangers do get hot, they become public darlings. So it's kind of just a grabbing value right now with the Rangers while it still exists. Draw, definitely wouldn't talk anyone out of looking at the draw here in this contest. Like you mentioned, a tight history between the two. should be a chippy game. Of course, first time meeting since last postseason, where Rangers had that 2-0 series lead on the road, go back home and blow it, and I'm sure they want to get that bad taste out of their mouth. So I think the Rangers come out here with a nice, solid effort tonight.
All right, liking the Rangers here is Alex, -120. Kyle, what do you think here? This is a great rivalry, playoff, obviously, rematch from last year in the first round, Devils and Rangers.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, like you guys have been saying, the value's there to take the Rangers. So I do like that. They have been playing good hockey. The one other bet that I think would be interesting, seeing that the Rangers last played Sunday, Devils just got a big win in Pittsburgh Thursday. I can see them coming out hot, maybe take the Devils up 1 first period as kind of a wild card bet. But yeah, I don't know. It's always tough coming off a week without playing. Takes a little bit to get back into it. Obviously, they've been practicing, but it's nothing that quite simulates a game like level of action.
Oh, that I got the order wrong. New Jersey's at home against the Rangers, and they're -115. There we go. I told you it was a long night last night, so feeling it a little bit today. Screwing up a little bit here with the marquee, but there we go. Devils are the home team. They're -115, and like I say, I'll probably will bet the Rangers if Hughes is out. If he's in, maybe not. I do like the draw, and I like the over there in that one. All right, Islanders and Flames. We've got the New York Islanders. Lane Lambert, the Vultures are circling around this guy right now. It has been rough for the New York Islanders. They are now going to Calgary to end this Western Canadian road trip. Calgary -145, home favorites, 6 the total here, shaded to the under. I guess quickly, too, about the props. You know who I like as far as Lafreniere for the Rangers. He's their best player right now. He's undervalued still because he's playing the best hockey of his career. I say stick to Mercer, McLeod on the New Jersey side, the top 2 centers, assuming Hughes doesn't go. This game, look, I still don't want to lay a price with Calgary. Now, I'll give them credit. They're playing better. They're winning some games. They had a nice win against Vancouver. Not many teams are beating the Canucks right now, but Calgary was able to get the win. But they took advantage of just a phenomenal spot to fade this Vancouver team if the other night, just because Vancouver was back-to-back after playing the Islanders, and that Islanders came after the very long road trip. So they definitely looked sluggish, Vancouver against Calgary. That said, Calgary played well in that 5-2 win. I'll give them credit. They've now won 2 in a row. See if they can keep it going here. They're starting to gradually build some momentum. I guess the best thing about that win, too, is they finally saw Jonathan Huberdeau, score a goal. That must have been just a relief for everybody in the Flames organization. We know what kind of cap hit Jonathan Huberdeau is having on this team as far as the money he is getting paid. And that was only his 3rd goal of the season. And that was his first goal since October the 19th, almost a full month he went since scoring his last goal. So that's a great sign for Calgary. Now, can he keep it going and get some momentum from that? That remains to be seen. The Islanders are just in a dreadful way right now. We know they're always offensively challenged sometimes. And then on the flip side, they have scored goals at times this year. And now the problem is holding leads, something that was never an issue for them with Barry Trotz. When the Islanders used to get a lead, game over. They would, lock you down. They would make it tough to get speed through the neutral zone, tough to find open looks. And all of a sudden, they're protecting the lead over and over again. And now they can't protect the lead. Their foundation is fractured. Their foundation has been defensive hockey and protecting leads, and the Islanders aren't doing that. How many blown leads have they had? Vancouver, they blew it earlier this week. Seattle, they had an opportunity to win that game. They blew it and lost in a shootout. 7 straight losses. There's already thought that maybe, regardless of the result tonight, Lane Lambert's gone, that they might make a coaching change after this game when the Islanders get back home from this road trip. So it's been awful. And yes, as pointed out in the chat by Benjamin Mills, and I know there's a few people that have posted this stat on Twitter, or on X, I should say now, the Islanders are 0-8 as underdogs this year. And guess what they are tonight? An underdog. So I lean Calgary. I just don't like the price enough. And I don't trust Calgary enough just yet to lay -145 with them. So I'm off the side, other than maybe I look at the draw. And to me, it's pretty difficult to not make a case for it, because you look at this Islanders team, Back-to-back games have gone past regulation. Last year, these two teams played twice, and one of them did go to overtime. Islanders, the one thing about them is they're struggling. They're losing games 7 in a row, but they've been in a lot of these games, and these have been close games for the most part. So the draw might be worth a look here at a nice price once again, Islanders and Flames. Alex, what do you think here? Isles Flames.
Yeah, I really love this first period over. 7-3 to the first period over for both teams. We've also seen the Islanders on a 6-game run to the first period over. It's something I don't think I've ever said in the last 4 or 5 years of betting these first period overs. And you look at the series history between these two teams. Last 4 games, Flames in with a 3-1 lead, Flames in with a 2-1 lead, Flames in with a 2-1 lead, Flames in with a 2-1 lead. So definitely loving this first period over, getting the 1.5. Might even take a shot with Flames puck line since they've cashed that in 4 straight.
In the first period,
in the first period.
Definitely.
And definitely liking the draw here as well. Like I said, back-to-back with the Islanders. And I think this could be one of those games, like I said, the Isles are fighting for, just staying afloat and trying to play better hockey. But like I said, I think they kind of know, too, that the writing's on the wall with Lane Lambert. I can see this one being where if it's tight, this one kind of slows down a little bit. They get back to their bread and butter, playing sound defense. And then we may see this one, get settled past regulation. So I'm taking a smaller shot with the draw, but definitely loving this first period over.
All right, there we go. Draw and first period over, and a lean to Calgary first period puck line. And hard to argue with that. They've always had the lead. Recent head-to-head meetings against the Islanders, and the Islanders actually, their issue has not been starts. It's been finishes. They've actually had good starts in some of these games, Vancouver, Seattle, and they just can't finish. And they can't close leads, and they're blowing leads left and right, which they never used to do when Barry Trotz was behind the bench. What do you think here, Kyle? New York Islanders, Calgary Flames.
So you guys are selling me on the first period puck line like that.
The over 2, yeah.
Take it all. But the Islanders here, though, going 0-8 on a road trip like that, real tough. I don't think that they obviously haven't been great, but they've been coming out in hot starts, like we've been saying, and so it's like it's there. They just can't play a full 60 minutes. I gotta think that they're going to come out strong tonight. Nothing against Calgary, but just to your point about the value, I kind of like the Islanders.
All right, there, liking the Islanders here. +1 to snap that underdog run. 0-8 as underdogs, but all streaks and all trends sometimes must come to an end. We'll see.
I don't know if it's good betting logic, but shoot my shot.
That's all right. You're going against the flow, and you're going against the grain with that one. That's for sure. As far as props in this game, look, Dobson's been one of their catalysts from the blue line offensively. There's always good looks as far as props with him. For Calgary, I would stick to Connor Zary. He's been good with this team. No doubt, second line. They keep giving him opportunities. Mangiapane and Dubé have moved up to the top line, so there's probably some value. And I'll throw one out there, too, because he's made a nice impact. He's on the second line now. Anything is Pospisil with Martin Pospisil for the Calgary Flames. He's actually been pretty noticeable since he's been up with the team and done a nice job, so might be some prop value for him as well in this game tonight for Calgary. All right, we have ourselves 4 games left. Columbus, Washington -155, home favorite, 6.5 the total in this game. Here's another team where there's all kinds of issues. They stink on the ice right now, the Columbus Blue Jackets. And for the second time this year, Johnny Gaudreau is benched in the third period of a game. Second time in a month that Pascal Vincent has decided to bench Johnny Gaudreau in a 1-month span. And he also did it to Patrick Laine in that last game against Arizona as well. And now you got the talking heads on TSN doing the panel discussion. Is Johnny Gaudreau still an elite hockey player at this point? And you gotta question it right now. Like, this guy has got a big contract. He was expected to be the face of this franchise. He was expected to be there. Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid, not to that level, but, they're offensive catalyst. The guy that was going to lead the way for them and put up these big numbers, 40-goal seasons, 50-goal seasons, 80, 90 points. That's what the expectation was for Johnny Hockey when he signed in Columbus. But now look at what he's got this year. He has 6 measly points 1 goal and 5 assists this year for Johnny Gaudreau in how many games? 17. I mean, at -7 plus-minus rating. It's stunning how much he is struggling right now. He's struggling with his confidence. He doesn't have much of it right now. It's just been a dreadful season for him, and his sidekick there, frickin' Frack, I like to call them, Patrick Laine, hasn't been much better as of late. Now, he's had injury issues galore, so you cut him maybe a little bit more slack, but I mean, these two guys, they need a lot more from them. He's done this tactic before, Pascal Vincent, benching Gaudreau in particular, and Gaudreau came back and did nothing, essentially, the next game after he was benched in the third period. So that is all kinds of issues that I have right now as far as Gaudreau. I trusted him once maybe to bounce back. I bet his props that night. I remember it. The game after he got benched in the third period, and he didn't do anything. So I'm not falling for that act again. He's going to have to show it to me that he's ready to bounce back and play well after getting his ass stapled to the bench, riding the pine Paul Bissonnette style with that. I still think of that funny clip from TNT a few weeks ago. That was absolutely hilarious. Charlie Lindgren in net once again for Washington. Look, he's played well, played extremely well in the win against Vegas the other night for the Capitals. Elvis Merzlikins in net for Columbus in this game. I mean, Lindgren's given up just 3 goals in his last 3 starts combined. 1 goal to Columbus. They won that game a few weeks ago. He beat Columbus 2-1. Lindgren only gave up 2 goals to New Jersey in a 4-2 win, and the shutout against Vegas, 3-1-1 on the season. 1.76 goals against and a .947 save percentage for Charlie Lindgren as well. Very, very impressive numbers. Again, this is probably, I don't want any part of Columbus, but Washington, as much as they're playing well, no, not for me at -155. So probably a game I'm going to end up staying off when it's all said and done. I was looking at maybe over 6.5 here, but there are some injuries, including Kuznetsov, by the way, for the Washington Capitals. And I respect the way Lindgren's playing, so I probably won't bet that either. What do you think here, Alex? Columbus, Washington.
Yeah, the big card, I've already got quite a few plays. This is a definite pass for me. Like I said, I can't lay a price with Washington, and I don't trust them in regulation. If I had to play something, it might even be leaning toward the draw. I saw some people in chat liking that as well. So this is one I'm going to be staying off of.
All right, Kyle, how about you? Jackets, Capitals.
Yeah, no, it's with the Capitals line, I'm not a huge fan of that. I kind of like the under. Charlie Lilligren, played with him in Laval once upon a time, so he's my boy. I know when he gets hot, he's hot, and so I like that. And then I don't know. Columbus has just been struggling. Are they going to put up enough points? I don't know. I doubt it. So unless Washington's throwing up 5-6 points or goals here, I like the under.
That's right. You had a stint with the Laval Rocket. That's right. And Lindgren was in the organization at the time. Yeah, good stuff. How good was he at that time? Because to me, I'm looking at some of these starts lately from him, and he's as good as I've ever seen him play.
Goalies are weird, right? I feel like they don't really break into the league until they're maybe mid to later 20s. And so he was super young. That said, he was a stud. He was getting a little bit of time. I remember Price was out, and so he would get called up and was playing in a handful of games back then. Now Montreal just wasn't that great of a team, so he was sort of let out to dry a little bit. But I don't know. He was always solid, tough to score on in practice. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I think that's always been the thing with Lindgren. I've always noticed that it seemed like his AHL numbers, wherever he had been, the reason he even got that big boost and has been in the NHL the last couple of years was when he had that playoff run. I want to say it was with Springfield. And so he's always had the great numbers down there, and they just haven't translated either. Like you said, it's either team or he just doesn't get the opportunity. So maybe this might be his time now, kind of like Phoenix Copley did last year with the Kings. Maybe he can kind of, turn this into where he, gets an extension and gets some real serious NHL time and gets a look longer than just this year.
Yep. Very possible. That's, I think, and look what Phoenix Copley did. He turned a great run that he had with the LA Kings last year into staying with them permanently. Now he's had a tough year this year, but last year's performance got him to this point where he's now, got himself an extension with the LA Kings. So maybe Charlie Lindgren's going to, and look, Charlie Lindgren deserves the net right now. He's been better flat out than Darcy Kemper. this season for
Absolutely.
the Washington Capitals. No question about it. So Spencer Carberry is doing the right thing here, given Charlie Lindgren all these opportunities. All right, Colorado, Dallas, great game here. Stars minus 130, home favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the over. I'm going to have to go back and look, but we know we've seen Colorado. They're 10-5, obviously, still a good record. 5-3 on the road. Dallas 11-4. I have to go back and look though and see what Colorado has done the few times they have been priced as underdogs. And off the top of my head, I don't think it's been great for them. The few times we've seen them in the underdog role this year. Or have they been? No, they've been favored in every game, it looks like this year. Last year is what I'm thinking of with Colorado, is that last year when we saw them as underdogs, which didn't happen often, those weren't games they were winning, consistently. So keep that in mind here. You're going to look at it. I think Dallas favored for a reason in this game. I really do believe that. So I kind of like Dallas here, minus 130 in this game. Jake Ottinger has already been confirmed in net. No surprise there whatsoever. I think that's the big thing to watch for in this game too, is that there are still some key injuries for Colorado. Lehkonen is back on IR. Josh Manson, one of their better, stay-at-home defensemen on this Avs team, upper body injury. Jared Bednar said he's questionable for this game tonight against Dallas, and that's someone they'll miss. They have a lot of puck-moving, great skating blue liners. Makar and Gerard, and it goes without saying how many good ones they have on that back end. Devon Taves, but the one thing that Manson brings this blue line is that grit and that physicality and that defensive prowess in his own end. They're going to miss that a little bit if he doesn't play tonight. So, and then they've got the Georgiev conundrum right now, where he hasn't played as well after that really strong. I mean, I remember Alex and I both saying what a couple of weeks Georgiev was having to start the year, and suddenly he has struggled. His game has really tailed off quite a bit in recent games. So it's definitely a goalie edge for Dallas. I think they're favored for a reason here at home. They've won 4 in a row. Obviously playing a team like Colorado, they will be amped up for it. And yes, the last time they hosted Colorado, it was last year in March. It was that afternoon game. I think it was an ABC game, and they pummeled the Avs 7-3 in that game. So I'm going to take it. I'm going to go with Dallas here, minus 130 in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Avalanche Stars.
Yeah, big home game. Jake Ottinger going up against Colorado. They know this is a big time game, right? Like Dallas, Colorado. They understand that they're really the only two teams that are in each other's way as far as the Central is concerned. And I think this is going to be a fun affair. And I'm backing Ottinger. I'm backing Dallas here. I laid $1.25, but $1.30 is still just as fair here. So going with Dallas at home.
All right, liking the Stars as well. Let's hope we hear a few dun dun Dallas, dun, Stars, dun dun Dallas, dun, Stars. Yeah. Let's hear that often. Maybe I don't know if we'll hear it 7 times like we did the last time they hosted the Avs in this building, but yeah, and plus Colorado, I still can't get those 2 duds they had on the road out of my mind in the East. Pittsburgh and Buffalo, back-to-back duds. They were awful in those 2 games. In Pittsburgh, in Buffalo. Dallas is better than Pittsburgh and Buffalo. So we'll see how this one goes. What do you think here, Kyle? Avalanche Stars.
You guys sold me on Dallas. Honestly, I wasn't 100% sure what to think of this game. I would have thought it's going to be a close game. But for the reasons you guys mentioned, I'm in on Dallas.
And I like Matt Duchene 100%. I've been on Matt Duchene props a lot. He's on this goal scoring streak. He's settled in. He's comfortable now. You can tell he's got good chemistry developing with Seguin and Marchment on that second line. 4 straight games with a goal for him. Colorado, one of his former teams, his original team, actually, many, many years ago, team that drafted him. I know he was with Ottawa after that, Nashville after that, and now here in Dallas. But Duchene was the original home for Matt Duchene. So Matt Duchene goal prop, absolutely. I would look at that. Colorado, Big Val Nichushkin. Big Val is heating up. And playing with McKinnon and Rantanen on that top line, Big Val Nichushkin has really started to get that offensive game back on track. 4 goals in the last 4 games, 3 in the last 2 games for Big Val. So Big Val Nichushkin and Matt Duchene, one on either side. My 2 favorite player props in this game. Maybe a small look to Drouin too, because he's back up the lineup again with Johansson and Tatar for Colorado. And I don't know why, but I've just got that sneaking suspicion tonight Wyatt Johnston and Joe Pavelski are both going to make an impact for Dallas. Johnston in the bigger games makes impact. We know Joe Pavelski's a bigger game guy. Playoffs, regular season against better opponents, I find that's when Joe Pavelski does his damage. So there's a couple of looks as well for props in that Colorado-Dallas game. All right, Seattle-Vancouver. Canucks minus 150 home favorites, 6.5 the total, shaded to the over in this one. Seattle, desperately needed win, albeit by the skin of their teeth in an 8-round shootout the other night against the New York Islanders. But they did find a way to win that game, snap a 3-game losing streak. Can they build on it? That ends up being the question. I mean, the long win streaks and stringing wins together hasn't exactly been Seattle's thing in recent games. 1-7, by the way, the Seattle Kraken, 1-7 their last 8 games after a win. That's not what you want to see. You want to see teams build on it, and they have not done that. 1 win and 7 losses their last 8 games following a victory. So you don't like that coming into this game against Vancouver, and I ain't stepping in front of Vancouver off a loss to Calgary where they looked as sluggish as they probably looked all season, although the schedule makers did a disservice to them. It was a brutal scheduling spot. On the road in the East, back home for 1 damn game against the Islanders, and then you got to play the next night on the road in Calgary. It was ridiculous. Totally ridiculous, that schedule. But now at least they get a couple of days now to catch their breath, finally have some rest. They've played a lot of hockey and a lot of travel in a short period of time. So I expect a good effort from Vancouver. This might be one of those looks tonight where I give Vancouver a -1/regulation split look on the Canucks here tonight. Little on the -1 at a plus price, a little bit on Vancouver in regulation here as well. Alex, Kraken, Canucks.
Yeah, I'd probably be looking toward Canucks in regulation too. There's a player prop here that I'm kind of targeting. I'm torn between this game and there's another game as far as bargain bin spots, but I could see where Vancouver, like I said, gets back on the right track here into Seattle. Like I said, so insanely disappointing for me as someone who really thought the Seattle team was going to make a big run this year. They just, like I said, haven't been able to follow up their wins and string things together. So I don't know if they're going to be able to do that here against Vancouver tonight.
I don't doubt that. Mike says in the chat, yeah, a lot of people like Vancouver. They are probably due for a losing streak or some kind of.
Yeah, in due time, they will be.
No doubt. Maybe if they lose tonight, and then I might, let's sit back and let's see if Vancouver maybe has that first speed bump, that first bump in the road they've had all year. But they haven't gone much longer than one or 2 game losing streaks this year. So they've been a very good bounce back team. And Seattle just hasn't strung wins together. So for tonight, I'm going to come back to Vancouver. But that's a fair point. That regression at some point probably is going to hit this Canucks team. Hopefully just not tonight. What do you think here, Kyle? Seattle, Vancouver?
Yeah, I mean, I Saturday night, big game. Obviously, I don't know if I would call it a rivalry, but Seattle just being over the border there.
Oh, it is, in my opinion. Oh, yeah. I mean, wait till they're both excellent teams at the same time.
Yes,
Yeah,
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
So I don't foresee it being tonight where they stumble, and so I like the Vancouver in regulation.
Yeah, and again, you'll get that at a plus price. You can go a bunch of different directions here for props in this game. Seattle, for the most part, I'd want to stick with McCann, with Eberle and Schwartz, and even Wenberg started to get going a little bit the last couple of games. And then for Vancouver, I mean, take your pick. JT Miller, can't go wrong with that. Brock Besser, can't go wrong with that. Mikheyev, can't go wrong with that. Pedersen, can't go wrong with that. And Connor Garland's up on the top line tonight. Rick Tocchet's always liked Connor Garland. Had him in Arizona, and it was an integral part of that team when Tocchet coached there years ago. And here's Connor Garland on the top line tonight playing with Pedersen and Mikheyev for the Vancouver Canucks. So there's your value. If you buy into that, we've got a guy moving up to the top. It's kind of like Connor Brown with Edmonton. He's moving up to the top line today with McDavid and with Nugent Hopkins. Same thing with Garland here on the top line tonight for the Vancouver Canucks. Probably some decent value there as far as his props are concerned. All right, we go to St. Louis and Los Angeles for the final game of this massive Saturday card. Actually, that's not bad. We're just under 90 minutes to get through this card because it is a whopper of a huge slate. We've got LA -200 home favorites, 6.5 being the total in this game. Your guess is as good as mine. What Blues team shows up. The Blues team that, took care of business and dismantled Tampa Bay at home early in the week, or the team that got absolutely, utterly embarrassed by the San Jose Sharks, the worst team in the NHL the other night. I mean, good luck trying to figure that one out. Good luck trying to sort that one out. I really want no part of it. I got my LA win the other night against Florida. I thought it was a good time to buy low on them. The home losses that they had, and for some reason they had been struggling to win at home. I said, this team's too good to keep losing at home. They're eventually going to start winning some hockey games at Crypto Arena. I hate that name, by the way, Crypto Arena. It's the stupidest name going right now for an arena, that is. But nevertheless, it fits for LA, though. LA's got a lot of weird things and people in it. So, yeah, it makes sense that that's the arena name there. But definitely when you look at the Kings here, minus 200 in this price range, I'm not rushing to bet them. I want no part of St. Louis, because I do think the Kings are going to start winning some home games here. That was a great performance defensively, shutting down the Panthers, an LA team that, is getting back to their roots, and defensive hockey, and Cam Talbot's been really good of late for this Kings team. So for me, not much on this game, at least as far as side and total are concerned. Kings probably win. I just don't like the price enough to bet them in any form. What do you think here, Alex? Blues, Kings?
Yeah, I might have this circle for a live over, try to wait for like a 5.5. We might even be able to get 5.5 and plus money and cash this. I would like to think that St. Louis would at least come out with some kind of fight. It's one of two things, right? Either they come out blazing and we get a good effort and they can, keep pace and we see a good competitive game, or we see another egg laid, and LA could easily make this even uglier than a San Jose team if they're interested. So I think live over is the way to look at this. Like I said, just kind of watch and see what the pace of St. Louis will be the first 5-6 minutes of the game.
Good live opportunity potentially in this game, depending on how it's. I probably would bet LA live if by chance St. Louis gets the first goal. I would probably be interested in them in a live bet, but definitely not at minus 200. But again, that Blues team, I mean, that is astonishing how bad they were against San Jose. I mean, they got run out of that arena by the San fucking Jose Sharks. Unreal. That bad they were in that game. Atrocious. What do you think here? By the way, this is Kyle Bond. This is not the LA Kings. This is Kyle Bond's old friends that are on this team. And Trevor Moore, there's a few of them from his time with the Leafs organization, with the Marlies in particular. It's a few people on this Kings team. What do you think about them tonight against St. Louis?
I mean, I think you said it well in terms of them. The line just doesn't make sense to bet on, especially with St. Louis just being such a wild card. So I do like the Kings play live, assuming it's a good game and maybe St. Louis goes up early for some reason and the line becomes a little bit more favorable, then jump on that. But yeah, probably staying away, just given the line. And I do think the Kings will ultimately win, but nothing good enough to bet on. Do you have a bad experience in the crypto markets, Ian?
I've had very few experiences in the crypto markets. Not much at all. I've dabbled in it a long time ago, and I can't say it went well. So I'm like,
lesson learned early on.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
smart.
Yeah, exactly. But much better at this market, sports betting, than I am crypto. So I learned that very, very quickly. No question about that. So, yeah, as far as props for, St. Louis, I still, Robert Thomas keeps on being one of their better players. So he'd be the one player I'd look at for props for St. Louis. LA, Byfield, Fiala and Moore on the second line, maybe Kaliev and Grundstrom. Carl Grundstrom, actually, for LA. It's very interesting. He scored 2 goals in the last 3 games. I know he's only playing on the fourth line with Blake Lizotte and Trevor Lewis, but that's value for a guy that's feeling it, who's got some confidence, finishing chances right now. And that's Carl Grundstrom for the LA Kings. I remember Todd Crocker, the voice of the Marlies. He came up with that line, "Witness the power of Grundstrom." I don't know where he found it from, but it stuck with me the whole time. And he's got some power right now, Carl Grundstrom, for sure, at the moment. And he is doing a nice job for the Kings. 2 goals in the last 3 games. So maybe some prop value there. with him at the moment. All right, great stuff. A huge Saturday card. We appreciate everyone in the chat joining us. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Make sure you check out the Ice Guys family plan, $9.99 US per month. Our daily betting card, player props, Alex's live wagers, bonus content. We're going to have our special impromptu live betcast. It's this week. We're not telling you what the day is or the time is. We're just going to drop it on your heads, and it'll be there, live betcast, and we'll be on for a couple hours one day this week. So make sure you check that out for our exclusive family plan members and Patreon page members. Make sure you check that out.
Also, check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. Today and tomorrow, last 2 days, to save 20% off of everything in the store. So we got caps, we got shirts, we've got hoodies, we got mugs. We've got some Christmas stuff in there as well. So check that out right now. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
There you go. Check it out. Do some Christmas shopping there at the Ice Guys store. No question about that. Before we get into bargain bin special of the night and best bets to wrap up the show, football, Kyle. I know you're into football, NFL. Is there one game that stands out to you in NFL? I'll give you the floor.
Oh, you're throwing me on the spot here. I haven't even looked. If I'm being full transparency, let me take a quick look. I like the Steelers-Browns game.
Yeah, Steelers and Browns. I mean, everyone's betting Pittsburgh because there's no Deshaun Watson. I'm not so sure about that.
I like DTR in that. Honestly, I already grabbed one.
I think he's going to be more comfortable because he's got a full week of practice and he knows way in advance that he's the starter. I think that's going to help him, unlike the last time he played. I agree.
So this might sound wild, but Bills-Jets, Bills with the line, -7.
I think it's a Bills spot. I truly believe that. I think everyone's like throwing them in the garbage can.
Yeah.
You'll have to remember this is the Jets on the road with Zach fucking Wilson.
Exactly.
To really sing
And I think the Bills are going to come out and make a statement here. I mean, they have to if they don't want to be the laughingstock of the AFC East. So I like that.
Rich H, Grey Cup. I'll throw that out there too. I was going to save it for tomorrow, but in case I forget tomorrow, I'll say it now. Montreal Alouettes. Alouette, Jante, Alouette, Alouette, Jante, Plumeray. There we go. That's my little rendition there. Montreal Alouettes +8.5 against Winnipeg. I think at the very least that is a competitive game. Did Owen Tippett score for the Flyers just now? Did he really? So. Wow. Fantastic. Because I don't have that game on. I've got the Minnesota-Ottawa game and some college football on my screens in front of me. And they're going to overtime, by the way, in Sweden with the Wild and the Senators. 1-1. How about that? A tight battle between the Wild and the Senators.
Losing coach gets fired?
Yeah. There we go. Owen Tippett. That was the clear-cut choice for me for Flyer goal props. So happy to see that Owen Tippett got that first Philadelphia goal. Good stuff. All right, bargain bin special of the night. If you don't have any, Kyle, for this is when we pick a +300 or better goal scorer prop that we think has got a great value on this card. I'm going to go to Edmonton and Connor Brown. I mean, you've got him with McDavid. You've got obviously the Oilers starting to pick it up again a little bit offensively. 4 goals in 3 straight games. He's back from injury. He played with McDavid and Jr. in the OHL with the Erie Otters. Connor Brown. And you can get +475 at Bet99 for him to score a goal. Now, that is big time going to the bargain bin. We're going for a huge bargain bin special with this one. 99-cent stake type of value with this prop bet on Connor Brown. +475 for the Edmonton Oilers. That'll be my bargain bin special of the night. Alex, what do you got?
Yeah, let's just hope it doesn't taste like a 99-cent steak. But I'm going with the Vancouver game, Seattle night. I'm going Connor Garland. You mentioned about him, moving up to the top line, but also, he's still in the power play unit as well. I think that's going to kind of incline him to shoot the puck a little bit more. I'm taking a shot at him to get a power play point, +575. I think that's some good value there. So Connor Garland, power play point, +575 for Vancouver tonight. It's my bargain bin special.
All right, there you go. Kyle, I won't ask you. I won't put you on the spot with this one because, I'm sure you're not quite aware what the +300 or better goal props are. Although, is there one name that you've got in mind? And I could at least check to see if it is a +300 or better.
So you threw out Mason Marchment, Tyler Seguin, and Duchesne, second line in Dallas. Yep. All Toronto line. My boy Mason Marchment. It says he's +600 or 1,600 for a goal, but I don't know if you can throw in a point. Does that qualify?
Oh no, he's not. He wouldn't be plus 1,600, but he'd definitely be more than enough to fit the criteria of plus 300 or better. Plus 440 at FanDuel for Mason Marchment.
Yeah, all right. Throw me that one. Oh, that was first score.
There you go. That's right. Yeah,
that's
kind of what I thought.
All right, yeah. Throw me Mason Marchment. Dallas. He shows up in big games.
Okay.
All right, there we go. That's true, and he's hard. You know what I love about Mason is his offensive games come such a long way. And again, he was with the Marlies too, like you were years ago in the Leaf organization. His offensive games come a long way. Obviously, losing his dad Brian is heartbreaking. He's battled through that. He plays a complete game. He's got that edge to him as well. Physicality. He'll chuck the knucks. He'll drop the gloves. Every now and then. That I think I like his game overall is really good. Plays a physical brand. Goes to the areas of the ice you need to score goals in the NHL. So yeah, he's really developed. Started in Florida and it's continued here in Dallas. How he's developed as a legitimately strong, solid NHL player, reliable NHL player, and a productive one. So Mason Marchment for Kyle Bond, plus 440 for his bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets to wrap it up. Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we're going to go with that Islanders Calgary first period over. Laying just $1.25. There's been a great track record. 4 straight meetings going over the first period, total of 1.5. And it's been a great run, 6 in a row for the Isles in the first period over. So New York, Calgary, this might be Lane Lambert's last game in Long Island, I should say. Flames and Isles, first period over is my best bet for Saturday.
Islanders and Flames over 1.5 first period for Alex. There we go. The cameras just got screwed up there. I'm telling you, I'm struggling today here. I'm getting marquees wrong. I'm switching the camera to the wrong person at the wrong time. That's what happens when you're partying there like 2 a.m. yesterday at a Grey Cup festival. That's what happens. All right, Kyle, the floor is yours. Best bet. What do you like?
I'm gonna go with the local Bees. Take them in regulation minus 1.5. Like we talked about, they beat Montreal at home by a margin of 2 or greater over the last 4 or 5 games. So that's got to go with the home favorites.
There you go. Boston Bruins keeping it local. Minus 1.5, minus 110 on the puck line for Kyle Bond with his best bet. I wanted to see the comment in the chat because someone wanted to mention your picture in the background. They liked it. Someone mentioned that a while.
I missed that.
Yeah.
Someone's also asking what's in your mug.
Oh, me? I was going to say it's not booze. It's not, I swear. See if we can really get a good, there it is. Coffee. It's there. There we go. Coffee. There you go. Coffee. Yeah, but my name is blocking it. But yeah, it's coffee. It's very cold, muddy coffee now because that's 2 hours ago is when I poured it. But nevertheless, it is coffee. I need more of it too because you're right. I've made some errors on the show today. You know, if they were grading me on performance as far as hosting and getting things right and saying the right thing, yeah, I've got my C- game like the Buffalo Sabres last night.
Alan Trimble in the chat's totally right. You should have just had hair of the dog get a shot before you started.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, that would have definitely snapped me to attention a lot better. No question about that. All right, best bet for me for this Saturday card. I'm going to roll with this. Let me just see here. I'm going to take Dallas minus 130. I like Dallas. I just think they're favored for a reason. They're playing well right now. I don't like the Colorado. Basically got beaten up twice on the road by Pittsburgh and Buffalo earlier this season. They've been a little spotty on the road, Colorado, this year. I like Dallas at this short number. Dallas Stars minus 130 against the Colorado Avalanche for my best bet. All right, great stuff. That's another edition of the show. Kyle, any last words from you before we wrap it up?
Thanks again for having me on. It's always a pleasure. I know it's tough. I play in a men's league that sort of overlaps, but we had a bye this week. So look forward to coming back on. Good luck with everyone, their bets.
Okay, so far with the men's league, we do have to ask, is your record closer to the Vancouver Canucks record or closer to the San Jose Sharks record?
It would be much closer to the San Jose Sharks, but we got everyone where they want them. We're on the up and up.
Be honest, though, if Kyle's men's league rec team took the ice against San Jose, it's a pick 'em. It's a pick 'em.
Yeah. Right.
To pick them. Yeah. They'd have a good chance. They really would. Great stuff. Thanks to everyone for joining us in the chat. Hit the like button on the way out. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, for Kyle Bond, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will talk to you again tomorrow on Sunday for another edition of the Ice Guys.